I spend my life researching and teaching people how to live a powerful life. I am a believer. I stand for the transformation of humanity. I have found my purpose. My name is Gabrielle McGee, and I am the Rebellious Therapist. So welcome to my Rebellious Therapist podcast, Christmas special. So today I want to say I'm really grateful and happy to say that my bestie, Kira, has flown all the way from New York to be with us at Christmas. So welcome.
Thank you.
I know,
Excited
so
to be
cool.
here.
So cool. And yeah, Kira, so thank you for joining us and thank you for coming home for Christmas.
I know. My first time in 5 years.
Wow. So what's it like? Like, what's it like to be... I have no idea because when I lived in London for 20 years, I came home every year.
Yeah.
So I have no idea what it would be like to be away for 5 years, not connected, not to, do the traditional stuff with the family
Yeah.
and all of that. So
Yeah, well, given that this podcast is about the most wonderful time of the year, it's kind of
Yeah.
interesting that I'm back after 5 years. And there's obviously going to be like pros and cons to being back for 5 years because
Yeah.
Christmas is an intense period as well as it's fun and happy and special. But with that comes a lot of stuff, especially family stuff.
yeah.
So I'm excited, I'm happy, I'm grateful. But I also know it's not going to be easy. So let's get into it then.
Yeah, totally. So, let us, let us break stuff down for people. Because I know from my clients and I know through the years that people, it's a very intense and anxious time of the
Yeah.
year, which doesn't need to be, right? So
Yeah.
hopefully this podcast will give people access to freedom
Yes.
and really give, people really want to have a good time at Christmas and really be with their family and really connect.
Yeah.
But what happens is the other stuff shows up.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk a bit about the other stuff as well.
Yeah.
Because when we talk about the other stuff, that might give people a bit of access and freedom to really get in what you come here, you want to have fun. Let's have fun. We talked about this today. We said, right, let us have real fun today.
Yeah.
And I think Christmas is about an opportunity to get us really present to, I think life should be like this,
Yeah.
right?
Well, if anything, I hope today people walk away with validation.
Yeah.
Maybe if they're not feeling so joyous or so happy and excited all of the time over Christmas, because it does. It will ebb and flow. There'll be highs and lows.
Yes.
And I think it's okay to have highs and lows during Christmas. So from the outset, like all the top layer stuff that we were talking about, the stresses of like presents and cooking and the responsibility on your parents and all the families getting back together and that dynamic within the family on such a big day that has so much pressure, like that's just what it looks like to us. But as you said, and you can bring us a layer deeper down and explain that to us, like, but what is all that? Like, why is it not like, why is it not all it's cracked up to be? For some people.
A lot of people.
A lot of people,
A
yeah.
lot of people. So, imagine we're talking about one day. And imagine we're talking about probably 12 hours or less. Some people have maybe 2 hours, 4 hours, or 6 hours. But the level of anxiety has already started.
Yeah.
So, I think that's what people need to start sort of wondering about or thinking about. What has them really approach or, have that level of anxiety in the way for them before they even get to a situation where they're not even... I mean, how many days is to Christmas? It's
2 weeks, I think, now.
so...
Saturday week.
So it's
Christmas
about
Eve.
12 days or something, right?
Yeah.
And we're already anxious.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a clue here, right? There's a clue to already start with. Okay, why would I be anxious 12 days into something? So what you see, there's nothing present there. Now, for some families, let me tell you, maybe some families should not do Christmas together.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if it's difficult, if it's, if it's not, if it's dysfunctional, then maybe that's somewhere you've got to be responsible for yourself and respect yourself and create a Christmas that works for you.
Yeah.
That's what I would say, number one. Because some Christmas is difficult for people.
Yeah, well, families and their relationships, there's a lot of like toxic relationships within families.
Yeah.
So then imagine you have to put on a show for one day and like it's essentially you walking into the fire,
Yeah.
when you may be being emotionally, mentally, physically abused, but then you have to put on a smile for the day. Like
So-
that's its own torture in itself.
Exactly. It's like there's so much in the space that hasn't been sort of talked about or discussed or dealt with or, healed. A lot of trauma. So Christmas, so unfortunately, as much as we want to have fun at Christmas, Christmas really represents a lot of trauma.
Yeah.
And through the years, there's a lot of sort of the intensity of that trauma and the spotlight on the trauma really is, given even more of a light. And what happens for people is people come with a lot of resentment and upset. And then they're supposed to be happy and, there's all this sort of the commercial stuff around Christmas that's created as happy, it's fun, it's a time where we're all connected and together. And most of the time when I work with my clients, there's a lot of suffering underneath. So it really represents a time where, they've gone through life. It hasn't been acknowledged or recognized. And Christmas really presents that to them on the day where they and I know this sounds a bit deep, number one.
But
right?
what else would it be with you, Gabrielle? That's why we do this podcast.
Yeah, I know, and I want to say no. I want everyone to have fun for Christmas, right? But the reality is, a lot of people don't.
Yes.
So, tell me, what's your experience growing up for Christmas as a child?
Well, we kind of went through ups and downs in our childhood. And again, this goes down to the major trauma that we have as a family, which is financial security.
Yeah.
So that was our main thing as a family. So when we were growing up, we had loads of presents. Santa was very good to us. We were getting ski trips. I will never forget it.
Wow.
And then when the recession hit and everything started to become a little bit more difficult for our family, all of a sudden money was then an issue. So then that stress added every year, whenever mum and dad maybe couldn't provide the way they wanted to be able to provide. And to watch them go through that stress. And then from the role I play in the family is then codependent, parentified child, which means I take on the emotions of everybody else and try and manage them so that everybody has a good time, but then actually forgetting about myself.
Yeah, exactly.
So I would take on my mum and dad's stress then, and then everything would just go to shit for me. But we've had really happy times. But also there's a great level of pressure that all our family has to get together, especially my mum's side. And then maybe we wouldn't get together as much with the dad's side. And then it kind of creates that imbalance. So it's like a very interesting dynamic. But
So can I just ask, do you have an inherited demand of how to do Christmas?
yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's like if one's there, everybody has to be there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. No, I can recognize this from my own family. Like there's
Yeah.
a certain way you got to do Christmas.
Yeah.
You got to do the presents. You got to, I'm talking about when I'm younger.
Yeah.
And, everybody had to come together. There was a certain sort of,
Protocol.
yeah.
You have to go visit everybody on the day.
Yeah.
Visit the graves.
The
then
graves,
go cook the
dinner.
dinner.
the 6:00 meal,
Yeah.
all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not only did I really have to organise any of that, obviously mum and dad mum had to do most of the preparing and cooking and the aunties. So I can't even imagine that that's even a fun day for them. You know what I mean? Unless a typical caregiver would find that fun.
Love it.
They love it, even if they don't even get to sit down for the day.
Yeah.
But then it just brings everybody together. And then with that, you know, all the dynamics play out. Sisters, aunts, uncles, cousins,
All the
mother,
dynamics.
father. And everybody's together all at once and everybody's a different person. And it's just, I mean, with now as I have a certain level of awareness, I probably can detach a little bit more, but I also notice things way more. Whereas I kind of went all oblivious
Wow.
for years.
Interesting. So one of the things at Christmas, we're in, what happens is so intensified, right? And what happens is we come into a process which is full of the sort of programming and the dynamics that Christmas brings with it. And so we start reverting, everyone reverts into be really childlike process. So if you watch people, like some people around the table, some people will have their role, the dynamic around the family role, and people regress. It's a regression. So whatever trauma is there for you, or whatever way you felt about yourself inside of growing up inside that family, you're in it.
Yeah. So it's not even as if you become your best, most happy self on Christmas Day. You actually revert into the most, what's like emotional kind of.
Well, you become, you go right into the young age behavior.
Yeah.
And it's what we call the inner child stuff.
Which is a huge topic. So we
huge
to cover.
Yeah. So the inner child, that childlike process, that timeline where, you're in the family and whatever part of that dynamic you play, you're in there.
Yeah.
And it's unconscious and you don't even know it.
Yeah.
And you go in, the minute you walk into that room, it's there. Yeah. It's waiting on you.
So, for example, my inner child on a very loose scale would probably come to life if one of my uncles didn't like the potatoes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas a healthy adult, who gives a shit if my uncle doesn't like the potatoes? Or if somebody runs out of something, or, mum's stressed or something like that. And because of my codependency and my want for everybody to be happy and keep everything kind of kosher, my inner child is going to flare up, essentially.
So the next question I have for you, what happens when the uncle doesn't like the potatoes?
I get all worried. I'm like,
you get anxious?
Yeah.
Oh.
Now, I hope not to do that this Christmas, but because last Christmas we had all of our family in New York.
Yeah.
So it felt like mine and Gemma's responsibility to make sure that everybody had an amazing Christmas experience in New York.
Yeah, of course.
But
even
with
extra.
Yeah. But with that, then me and Gemma are looking at each other going, oh my God, like X doesn't like this and X wants to go here and Y wants to go here and B needs to do this. And then we're just like, let's just go get drunk and maybe forget about it all. Do you know? And that's just our experience. Now, we got through it and we had the best time and the best memories. But in the moment, the anxiety is so heightened that you lose yourself in it.
So you took on the child role.
I took on the child role, yeah.
And that parenting sort of process that you do in the family, take care of everything.
Take care, yeah.
What was wrong with the potatoes?
They're just cold or something. I don't even know. Well, especially if you're going out for dinner and you're going to a steakhouse, that's an even different story again. If the meal isn't good enough or whatever. Now, I'm not saying this happened, but it's an example of something so minor where my anxiety would flare up. So if anybody could, if anything that hopefully anybody learns from this today is kind of the awareness and, like you said, access to, if something on Christmas Day feels like the biggest thing in the world, just remember it's not actually you that's showing up, it's your inner child.
It's your child. It's the timeline of the child where she was upset or where she felt not good. No, whatever shows up in your family dynamics, whatever program that you're locked into, it's all there waiting on you.
Mm.
And see, whenever you get anxious before Christmas, it's the child. It's that timeline where the child didn't feel, either connected, wanted, or it's supposed to be a happy time.
Yeah.
So if you're going through a time where it's not happy, guess what? Christmas is not going to be a happy time for you.
Yeah. So what about your experience of Christmas? And this might help for people maybe who've lost parents and loved ones, because you don't have your parents right now,
very
and
good.
I do, so I can't actually
Yes, very good.
access that. So how does Christmas show up for Gabrielle?
So-
a therapist.
Yeah, the therapist.
You're supposed to have all the answers and be able to navigate everything perfectly.
Yeah, exactly, right. Interesting. So always at Christmas, my mum was like she was the Christmas queen, right? But the stress with it was unreal.
Yeah.
She was the Mary Berry of Christmas. I'm not joking you. She baked at least 20 Christmas cakes. And my brother used to have to drive around the country with Christmas cakes. And they were like, why do we have to do this? Because they were going, people weren't even waiting on them for these Christmas cakes, but she insisted. You know, her generosity was so huge. But for the family, it drove so much pressure and anxiety, and the exhaustion that we used to watch her go through used to make me really annoyed. It used to piss me off.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, why would people put herself through that? But that was her that's how she valued herself. And actually Christmas was not that. We always had a beautiful Christmas. But after we got over all the pressure of having to give them gifts to people around the country, and people that we didn't even see from one Christmas to another, they always got these Christmas cakes. And she was the most extraordinary cook, number one, but also baker, right? So people will really know her for, that was her sort of what she was known for.
Mm.
On Christmas Day was really always a beautiful day for us, right? But it was the lead up to Christmas for us.
Right, okay.
Right?
When the work was done.
When the work was done, we could all breathe, we could all relax, and we could all, we always had really beautiful food because she was always, that was her commitment.
Mm.
And, the kids would arrive, but I never enjoyed Christmas.
Well,
because we all from 12 years
Yeah, I was
old,
gonna say
we
that.
never had my dad there. But it was always a silent moment. It was never talked about, but we always felt it deeply.
yeah.
So Christmas is not, then you put an effort on top of it. You always had to make, that extra effort to ignore the part that you're actually really heartbroken that he's not there.
Yeah.
So there are so many difficulties, facing people because it's so intense and so much of a spotlight on how to do Christmas. And, I was watching the actual commercial stuff on TV in the last week, and they really make it look as if, there's a subliminal message on how you really get into Christmas and you really connect and you really enjoy and you really be part of and you really have fun. Well, actually, I don't know many people do that.
Yeah. The reality of it, like.
The reality, if they do, and I'm not saying everyone, but everyone has to really nearly force it.
Yeah.
And I think if I had one wish in the world, that I wish for people to, really connect and really get the stuff that's not, that they're trying to operate from in Christmas, and be able to move beyond that and really, really connect, in a really deep and more personalized way. And I think I'd love people to stop buying presents for Christmas.
I know. We're not doing any this year, and I think
No.
it's the greatest relief ever. Because it's present enough that I'm here, that I'm able to,
Oh my
come
God,
home, that
this is
my
the best.
parents are still here, that we're all going to be together. I think that's enough. But again, like, that's different for people who do Santa and all that kind of
Look,
stuff.
Santa,
but
look,
the
I had-
pressure of presents, I think, is just a lot. Sure, I remember when I was younger, I used to be ringing my friends every morning and be like, "What did you get for Christmas?" And then we'd swap what we got,
Yeah.
and it would always be a comparison thing.
Yes.
You'd always know the person who got the best presents.
I know someone. I heard someone talking on TV the last day. He gets his grandchildren to do poems.
Oh, that's lovely.
I just wish we just start strip it back a bit.
Yeah.
and we get more connected, and have, a Christmas where people feel it rather than trying to survive and trying to, the chaos. To me, Christmas is chaotic.
What if your love language is though giving presents, giving gifts?
Actually, I love giving the kids. I had a party last week, and I had all the kids there, and I love giving them the gifts.
See, there you go. There's a different kind of outlook on it.
Yes, but there's something about how parents go about the pressure and how they it's just there's a disconnect with Christmas that doesn't work.
So how would you say now, like what would be your top 3 tips for people at Christmas? Maybe let's start off with people who don't have parents at Christmas or have lost a parent. We'll do tips kind of cater to them, and then we'll do a whole range of, because Christmas time is tough for people who are grieving.
Tough.
I mean, not that it's never.
My top 3 tips, I think, will be first of all is to really connect with yourself.
Yeah.
If you really do the work and you get your meditation done,
Grounding
yourself, and also not putting yourself under the demand that Christmas and the commercial part of it really sort of has you believe you got to be coming in with boxes and boxes and boxes of presents, and that's the Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And like, how do you reach out to people? And what does people need for Christmas is one of the things that I would be really loving people to be asking that question. What does my family need today? Or what does my community need? Or what can I do today that's going to make a difference at Christmas? And I know that's a bit of cliche.
Yeah.
But if we don't connect with ourselves and we don't connect with our hearts, then it's not Christmas.
Yeah. It's something else.
It's something else. It's driven and organized, and actually, you're under somebody else's, what's the word?
Illusion? No.
Yeah, you're actually under, it's that sort of commercial sort of.
It's
driven.
a romanticizing Christmas.
Yeah, but also like you're not in control of Christmas. Christmas is in control of you.
Yeah.
So that's that'd be one thing, right? The second thing I would really love to see people, and I know this is not an easy one, because there's so much, conflict or, resentment or upset in the way. It's communication. Now this is like a dream. I'm talking about the dream that I would have, or my wish for Christmas, because not every family has communication skills.
Mm-hmm.
And thirdly, to really understand that whatever you need in the moments for Christmas and the connection you need from family, how do you really take that into the year ahead?
Yeah.
So that would be my take.
I have one.
Yes, as I was going to say, what about you?
I think you should go into the holiday not having any expectations of people, of how the day is going to go, of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the only expectation I would have of myself is to hold myself to a higher standard and kind of not let myself get so reactive to maybe things that trigger me, because at the end of the day, the problem isn't with them to a certain extent, but how I manage it is going to be with me. If I get stressed or if I get anxious, I should know to take 5, walk out.
What will make you anxious?
If somebody's not having a good day.
Yes. Wow.
If somebody's stressed.
Wow.
And it's like, really, it should just be on me whether I'm having a good day and I'm stressed or not. You're gonna do some therapy on me. Well, I think it's hard when you're an empath and you literally see everybody's energy in the room.
Yeah.
Like, if there's 15 people in the room, I'll know everybody's energy, all 15 of them.
Oh, completely. Right.
So it's like you kind of just want to put a blindfold on for the day as well.
Or you could do something else.
What could you do?
You just give it up.
Yes.
Yeah.
How do you give it up?
By giving it up, so there's a space where you're an empath and there's a boundary.
Yes.
So, it's where learn how to put the boundary within yourself. Now, I heard a really great trick with someone who's a massive empath, right? And I said to her, and she also does a lot of energy work. And so I said to this lady's called Mary, and I said, Mary, how do you go out into the world and not be so like reactive or burn out? She says, I've got a trick. So what I do is I imagine a traffic lights. So there's days where I'm not taking people's energy on, so I put the red light on.
Right.
Then there's the amber light where, there's times where I think, okay, this could be a day where I'm curious and I'll make a decision. Or there's the days where she's going to work, green lights on. I think that would be a great trick for you, where you're not just one or the other, you just shut down, you just sort of like have to suppress something.
Yeah.
Then that gives you choice.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that I'll put that into effect this
I
Christmas.
think that's a good one.
And
for
I
you.
think I am much better than I ever was this Christmas, though, like just because it's also a lot coming home from New York to Ireland as well, and everybody's here after 5 years. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're not that person anymore.
No.
So whoever
No.
done Christmas before 5 years ago, she does not exist anymore.
But I must have some sort of like feeling that she's still there if I'm still talking that way. I have to
It's a
act a
fear.
different way.
It's a fear.
Right.
Your fear, she shows up, right? You're going back into the past of Christmas.
Yeah.
Rather than creating the present. You create your present. You create your Christmas here.
Yeah.
Now you got a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Now your choice is, how do you do that Christmas day?
Yeah.
And how do you see, what's your projection onto Christmas? And how do you be around people the way they are and the way they're not?
Mm-hmm.
How do you have the freedom? That's all the questions and the work you've got to do
Yeah.
to have, a Christmas that occurs to you or has a different response internally for you, that you have a Christmas that works for you.
So, like you said earlier, Christmas doesn't control me. I control Christmas.
Yeah, you control Christmas. It's on your terms.
Yes.
And that's what I want for people, let Christmas be on your terms.
Yeah.
And there's moments, where you might get caught up, or there's moments where it might be too much. One of the things for me around Christmas, which I find overwhelming in them days, was the amount of noise used to overwhelm me. Where if that happened now, I'd remove myself for 10, 20 minutes, whatever.
Yeah.
It's in that moment where you have choice.
Yeah. That you have the awareness
Yeah.
to make the choice,
To
really,
make that choice.
and not get,
Not getting pulled into
Pulled
the
in.
old sort of Christmas sort of process and program. That was what actually the overwhelm is when the child shows up.
yeah.
When you're sort of young age process and program.
Just like any other day of the year as well at the same time.
Hey, it's another day. It's another day, another dollar. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So what are you going to do for Christmas?
Actually, we have a really, I really, in the last good few years, I've really trimmed Christmas down.
Keep it simple.
Yeah, it's me, my partner, my brother, and my sister-in-law. It's so simple. It's so easy. It's so beautiful. So connected. So relaxed. But that's my choice. I've
Yeah.
chosen that.
Yeah.
And it's like, Christmas doesn't occur to me like that anymore.
Yeah.
It used to. When I used to live in London, I used to come home and it was like overwhelming. And it used to take me a couple of days even to do that transition. No, there's parts of it I loved and there's parts of it used to like overwhelm me. But that's something that as you go along, you do the work, that doesn't, you got a choice from that on in. And I just, to be honest with you, if you said to me Christmas in 10 days time, I don't even remember. I'm not in that space. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. So I've got some food to prepare and I've got some,
Yeah.
something to do on
Yeah.
the Christmas Day is just another day for me. That's how I manage it.
Yeah.
But we still have a great day.
Yeah. Overall, Christmas is such a special time. You know, there is a certain level of a spirit that's there that, you know, makes you think, it makes you reflect, it makes you love, it makes you laugh. There is also the part that is hard. And that's but that's like every like aspect of life, which is why we do this podcast, why we bring up the kind of the nitty-gritty parts of life. And Christmas is another one of them.
Christmas
that we
is
don't
the
get the
intensity
freedom
of
to
life.
talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. That's what I'm saying. It just puts a spotlight on everything.
Yeah, it puts a spotlight on one day of the year that everybody has to get involved in. But then it's such a laugh too. So,
But that's it. It's full of everything. And it's cool. So I hope everyone this year has got something from this podcast that they can carry forward and have that day where it's on their terms. They get to choose and they have fun.
yeah. Yes, have a very Merry Christmas
Merry
to all the
Christmas,
listeners.
everyone.
And thanks so much for, the
Thank you
commitment,
for
listening.
listening to our podcast. And, let's roll on to the next year. And then we are going to do a beautiful podcast going forward about, the New Year resolution.
Yeah.
So, happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas.
You've been listening to the Rebellious Therapist podcast. For more information, you can follow me, the Rebellious Therapist, on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. You can find further information on my website, therebellioustherapist.com. Until next time, thanks for listening.